Hi, this is Doug Bradley, and you are listening to Bangers and Mash, and you better keep listening or I will tear your soul apart.
What time of year is it, Mr. Bash?
The most wonderful time of year.
It is the most wonderful time of year. It is convention season, at least here in our hometown it is.
That's right, and it's also the beginning of the Bangers and Mash Halloween-a-thon.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it is.
And another very special thing that's happening right now, as always, if you've ever listened to our convention shows, and I'm assuming if you're listening to the show at this point in the show's history, you are a diehard fan and you've heard all our episodes, you know that we start the weekend by getting breakfast at McDonald's, and it's the only time of year I eat at McDonald's, really. But I do have a guilty pleasure, and it is the sausage biscuit and the hash browns. But today, they are now selling the pumpkin pie, which is how you know the Halloween season is officially here, you guys. So we're going to be chowing down on these while we're recording. That is pretty good. Yes, it is convention season, and we are headed to Monster-Mania, Hunt Valley, Maryland. This is my 7th year going to Monster-Mania, and I think it's the 6th year we've talked about it on the show, isn't it? Where does the fucking time go, man?
I don't know, but I'm starting to feel fucking old about it.
I'm past starting to feel old about it. We are now like veterans of Monster-Mania. Dave Hagen on the Facebook page promised that this is the biggest Hunt Valley Monster-Mania they've ever done. They're going to have dealers' rooms on 2 floors this year, and they have a pretty interesting guest list. I mean, 2 guests we were excited about meeting. Val Kilmer, and for me, Barbara Steele dropped out. This is the 3rd time Barbara Steele was going to appear at a convention I was going to go to, and the previous 2 times she also dropped out. I really want to meet Barbara Steele. Every single time I have a date with Mrs. Barbara Steele, it leaves me hanging. She stands me up. What is up with that?
She's like, man, I don't want to meet that guy.
As of Val Kilmer, apparently he's dying.
Oh yeah, that's something to laugh about.
Val Kilmer did a Monster-Mania event in one of the New Jersey ones earlier in the year, and everybody said that he looked really sickly, he couldn't talk. He is actively fighting cancer at the moment. I joke, but I hope Val does well. I hope he makes a full recovery. They still have a pretty good guest list, though, this year.
Yeah, like Rose McGowen.
I like Rose McGowen, though I think you like her more.
I don't know about now, but I liked her back in the 90s.
Michael Biehn from Terminator and Aliens is going to be there. I hear he's kind of a jerk, so I guess we'll find out firsthand.
Oh, man, I hope he's not a jerk. They say never meet your heroes.
One I'm kind of surprised they're not hyping up more, but I'm actually super excited for, is Wilford Brimley. Been telling JD all week, I really hope to God they have Glossy from the diabetes medication commercials, because I really want him to sign that.
You're so stupid.
Him on the horse or him at the kitchen counter, I really want him to sign that. I'm going to try real hard not to mention anything about diabetes to him, because I'm sure it's not his favorite of the projects he's done.
I don't know, he does a lot of them.
Adrienne Barbeau is going to be there. She's a regular on the convention circuit, but this is the first time we've met her.
4th favorite Catwoman.
4th favorite Catwoman, that's right. She was a great Catwoman. One that's exciting for us, because he's basically an in-joke between you and I. Curtis Armstrong. May not know his name, probably better know him as Booger from Revenge of the Nerds, but if you're JD and I, you know him as Boosta.
Boosta.
From Jingle All the Way, and yes, we are absolutely going to get him to sign a glossy of Booster. If they don't have one, we're going to go up to the room, hijack a printer, and print one out.
Oh, they've got to have Booster on there.
And we're going to say to him, nobody likes you, Booster.
Nobody likes you, Booster.
Andrew Divoff from the Wishmaster films is going to be there. Soska sisters are going to be there, and that's cool, because they don't have directors too often. And I am a fan of their films. I thought American Mary was really good. I'm sure we will come home with a ridiculous amount of stuff. Anything particular you're looking for at the convention this year?
Every time I go there looking for something, I never find it. So I just go there with the intention of just saying, find something cool, you know?
Last year there was this amazing poster kiosk. This guy was selling original one-sheets, and I came home with the Student Bodies poster. I really hope that guy comes back, because he had a great selection of all sorts of stuff, and last year I know there were about 15 posters I wanted to come home with. But beyond that, yeah, I don't really have anything specifically in mind. The NECA Alien Covenant toys are out now, so I guess I'll be looking for those. It is hot in this fucking car, so we're going to roll the windows down and get on the road. If you listened to the show last year, you know we got a flat tire on the way to Baltimore, and it was a real fucking incident. So this year, I am sincerely praying to God or the devil, the spirits of Halloween.
Pray to the devil.
The spirits of Halloween or Buddha or whoever is listening, that we get to Hunt Valley safely, without incident. We We have a good time there, and we get back safely.
Unpleasant dreams.
Okay, thus concludes Day 1 at Monster-Mania 2017. General thoughts?
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good time. The dealer's room is not quite as good as in previous years, which is weird. As we said earlier, it's the biggest dealer's room they ever had. It's on 2 floors, but it seems to me they just don't have as much cool shit as they usually do.
The one signature I really wanted to get is ridiculously overpriced.
They just have a lot of the same sort of stuff. Maybe we've just been here too often and they have too many of the same people.
Like not a lot of diverse.
You want to talk about some of the loot you've gotten so far today?
Oh my gosh. Signature-wise, I've got Adrienne Barbeau,
who was super sweet. I got her signature as well. She was really nice and friendly. I said to her, wish I had a better question I could ask you. And she said, oh, I'm here all week and come back tomorrow if you think of a good question.
Yeah, we'll have to look up something good for her.
Yeah, she was a sweetheart. I liked her a lot.
I feel like we're going to look up some stuff on cannibal women of the avocado jungle of death or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I got Booger.
First time we went down there, he was at his table, then got up and ran off because apparently he's written a book and they didn't have any books at his table and he was annoyed. We were very disappointed, not with him, he was cool, but they did not have any Jingle All the Way glossies at his table.
Yeah, nobody likes you, Booster.
We said to him, oh man, no Jingle All the Way stuff. No, we really wanted you to sign something for that. And he said, yeah, you're one of 5 people to have ever said that to me.
He's like you and 5 other people since that movie came out.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. He was real self-deprecating. He seems pretty down to earth.
But he also pretty much looks the same as he did in Revenge of the Nerds.
Older, grayer, but not too different, yeah.
Yeah. And then I got some cool artwork. One of the posters is classic horror, and it's got Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, the Frankensteins. And then the second one is modern horror.
Yeah. They're pretty neat.
And then I got this really cool signature from, how do you say his name?
Andrew Divoff.
Andrew Divoff.
Otherwise known as the Wishmaster.
He's the Wishmaster, yeah.
He was really nice.
Yeah, he was. Just decided to get his signature from my grandmother. But he actually talked to us for a good bit. Really nice. Not like the Wishmaster is in the movie at all. But the glossy I got from him is cool, and this is why I didn't mention him with the rest of the signatures. Because it's actually a print of the cover of Fangoria that he was on for Wishmaster 2.
Everybody who listens to the show knows I'm a huge Fangoria fan, so that's super cool.
Fangoria is like sex and pizza.
Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good?
Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. It's usually got a cool cover. Well, it used to.
Yeah, it's not publishing anymore.
And then I got the Comic-Con exclusive Aliens figure of Ripley with Newt.
I really wanted the Newt. This one's been a little hard to find. Figures are basically posed in the poster art.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I gotta say, I'm jelly of that.
It was a steal. Guys shouldn't have walked away with it for that little. I got this cool video. It's the Freddy Krueger MTV Video Hour.
Yeah.
Which I guess it's the music videos, all the...
Freddy Krueger was on MTV and he hosted a block of music.
Anyhow, I got an Uber Freddy.
Yeah, the new Nightmare Freddy. This is newer one from NECA.
The new Nightmare Freddy.
Yeah.
Something I've been wanting for a while and finally broke down and bought.
Yeah.
I got some modern horror Lego minifigs.
Okay, this is important. This is my second favorite find of the weekend. I don't know how often it's come up on the show, but I love Lego and I love the minifigs especially. And I've said to JD often, the thing I most want in Lego minifigs is modern horror. And this guy was selling custom Lego minifigs. We got a whole bunch. We got Leatherface, Michael Myers, Jason. They were all sold out of Freddy, Chucky, Harry, and then I also got RoboCop, Ronald McDonald, Colonel Sanders, Chuck Norris from my mom who loves Chuck Norris.
And then I got Skeletor.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get the He-Man as well.
I'm not a He-Man fan. I'm a Skeletor fan. I'm like everybody else. Nobody gives a shit about fucking He-Man. They want Skeletor.
Do you want to talk about some of the celebs we met? We saw Michael Biehn. He was the longest wait in line. I was honestly surprised.
Yeah.
We waited 15 to maybe 30 minutes in line for him.
He actually kind of made it worth it. We had read he was an asshole.
Yeah, I had heard that Michael Biehn is an asshole, yeah, but he was actually pretty cool.
He even answered a stupid question with a lot of conviction and even gave reason behind it.
He put thought into it. I asked the question, which I'm sure he's heard a million times, which is, what were your opinions on what happened to Hicks in Alien 3? And he said that he was pissed off about it, and his agent talked to Fox, and he got some money out of them using his likeness.
Yeah, pretty penny, he said.
That's what he said, yeah.
Yeah, my stupid question was, because Zach was like, somebody should ask him who would win in a fight between Hicks and Reese. To which I said, all right, I'll ask him. But when I did, so I need you to settle an argument for us. That way it didn't seem that stupid.
Less stupid.
Less stupid. He chose Reese, so that came from the guy who actually plays the characters.
That's about as close to a word of God as you can get on this issue.
Right.
Pretty nice. He was pretty conversational. We met Wilford Brimley, who acts exactly like you'd imagine he acts. He's kind of quiet and gruff and to the point, but sort of subtly funny.
He doesn't have the handlebar mustache anymore.
No, he doesn't.
I'm not sure that was Wilford Brimley.
It was him. It sounded exactly like him. I asked him, what was it like to work with Jean-Claude Van Damme? And he said, he's a very interesting fellow. JD has this conspiracy theory that they used a real alien in the thing. And he said, well, it was real in the sense that there was a real thing there.
He's not wrong.
Oh, Sharni Vinson from Your Next was a sweetheart. She was jumping up and down. She was complimenting people on their cosplay. She was really energetic and fun, and she was very sweet to me. Because we were gonna get the Soska sisters, who I like a lot. I'm a fan of their movies, but they were charging $60 for their signature. And okay, well, most people want $30, and there's two of them. All right, that's fair, I guess. But then it was an extra $20 for a photo, and it's like, fuck that. I'm sorry. I like them, but I'm not paying $80. Pretty much is all the signatures we're gonna get, since Rose McGowen is asking for $70, and there's no photo involved at all. We've been doing conventions for 6 or 7 years. Photos at the table should be mandatory. I'm sorry. Photos should not cost extra. You should be able to get a photo at the table, and it should come with the price of the signature.
I'm okay with the photo costing extra as long as it doesn't exceed more than $10 extra. And I understand there are agents that are sitting there being like, well, you're worth this much easy.
That was a little annoying, but we complain about celebrity prices every year. It's enough of that, the negative. Let's focus on the...
I didn't mention the Elvira standee.
JD got a little cardboard Elvira standee.
You know, it won't be in that good condition.
Uh-oh.
Much longer.
Not when you're done with it. Aside from the Lego minifig, I got the Neo Morph from Alien Covenant from NECA. That's new. I got Santa Sangre, Alejandro Jodorowsky's Santa Sangre, one of my favorite movies on Blu-ray. But my favorite find, I think I said this morning that I really hope that poster vendor is back this year. And they're not back, but there is this guy. He says he's been in the theater business for 40 years. He's amassed a huge collection of posters and free giveaways and paraphernalia and all sorts of shit. His wife said, just get rid of it. So he's selling original theatrical one-sheets going back to the 70s for $20 a piece. And I got 5 of them. And I might go back for another one tomorrow. I got When a Stranger Calls, original theatrical one-sheet of Magic, which is a great poster. I love that poster. Original theatrical one-sheet of Escape from New York, another great poster. Original theatrical one-sheet of Ghost Story, another great poster. And original theatrical one-sheet of Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, which is a cool poster, but mostly I got it because it's David Bowie. And I'm probably going to go back tomorrow and get the Death Wish poster because I loved it. Oh, and speaking of Death Wish, okay, so we're waiting in line for Curtis Armstrong, and this guy, he's wearing a Death Wish 3 t-shirt, and I say, oh man, that's a cool shirt, and he said, oh thanks man, and this is apparently like the biggest Death Wish 3 fan in the world, because not only was he wearing the shirt, he had the Canon Film Group logo tattooed on his arm, and also a tattoo of Charles Bronson from that movie. Got really excited because the lady who plays the female Cenobite from Hellraiser is here, and he said, oh man, she was in Death Wish 3, she had like a one scene, she's a fucking extra, but he remembered her. So we met the world's biggest Death Wish 3 fan today.
Alright guys, remember how excited we were when we got Freddie to record a blurb for the podcast?
That's how excited he was by just the mention of Death Wish 3.
Exactly.
And I love that movie too, but holy shit, this dude was into it. These posters are my favorite thing I've gotten so far this weekend. Hotel room's really nice. Room service is pretty good. We've been eating well today. Another thing, after I bought the 5 posters from the guy, he gave me a bunch of freebies, including a little promotional pin for John Carpenter's Vampires, a set of Mystery Men trading cards, and everybody who listens to this show knows I love Mystery Men. And then JD got a Batman and Robin pin.
But what's really cool is that I am not the only Batman and Robin fan in the world.
There's at least one other Batman and Robin apologist.
One other guy.
We were in line for Michael Biehn, and one of the Monster-Mania staff came up to JD and said, hey man, I love your pen, or whatever.
Yeah, feel dignified.
Found some brotherhood with a stranger there. We're having a pretty good time. I think that wraps up Monster-Mania Day 1.
I think so.
Yeah, it's time to crash into slumber. So we're standing here with some cosplayers we met on the convention floor. We've got a Negan from Walking Dead. And are you specifically Swamp Thing or just a generic swamp monster?
No, we filmed a movie, what was it, last year?
No,
a year or two? Last year.
Okay.
Called Alien Swamp Beast.
Eddie and the Swamp Beast. Cool.
Alien Swamp Beast.
Alien Swamp Beast. Oh, okay. So this was a costume made for a movie here.
Yes, sir.
No, that's really elaborate. How much time went into that?
I didn't design it. The director of the movie did.
Okay.
Maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, about 2 weeks to get everything together.
Is this film available now, or will it be coming out soon?
It'll be coming out soon.
Cool. First off, your costume's amazing. I just want to say to you, you look a lot like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, so that's a really good pick for a costume for you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for giving us a little peek there. We'll post the pictures when we post the show. Can I shake your hand too, sir? Thank you so much. Convention floor again with 2 cosplayers. We've been seeing these 2 ladies around all day. We've got a Billy the Puppet from Saw and a Pennywise over here from the new It. Why did you choose these characters?
I chose Billy because I saw Tobin Bell today and I wanted to do something from the movie. Thought it'd be cool to be riding around on a tricycle.
Yeah, and that is a really nice touch. So how was Tobin Bell? Was he nice?
Yes, he was nice. I'm going to see him again later so he could sign my photo op.
Cool. And over here we have a Pennywise. Why did you choose this character?
Saw the movie, loved it. Might I say equal to the first one or more, actually. And I thought to myself, I can do that shit. So I made it and put it together.
And the next question I'll ask is, I know you can't do it because the floor here is really crowded, but can you do the Pennywise dance?
I could, but my pants are too big and I'm afraid of them falling down.
I have a question. question. Do you guys cosplay a lot, or is this just a first-time thing for you?
We cosplay all the time.
A little too much.
Yeah.
What are some other characters you cosplay as?
That's a long list, honey. I've done Raven, Wonder Woman. She's in Wonder Woman as well. I've done Harley Quinn, Black Widow, Black Canary, Zatanna, Naruto, Sasuke, Natsu from Fairy Tail, Panty from Panty and Stocking.
We love panning and stocking.
Yeah, that's just to name a few.
Were one of you panning, one of you stocking?
No, we want her to do stocking. We're planning on it though, because we spoke about it, so we want her to be stocking, and I'm gonna stick to Panty again.
And what are some characters you?
I primarily do Wonder Woman. 3 versions of her: Bombshell, Atomic. That's Shell from Portal 2.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I've done a pin-up version of her too. I've done Rose Quartz from Steven Universe, Ohana from Rat Queens, comic book series, a bunch of other shit that's not coming to me.
So is there a character that you haven't cosplayed as yet that you are looking into doing?
Freddy Krueger. I want to do him. I have a whole concept behind it, which requires time and money, and I don't have neither right now. But it is something that I really, really want to do because I'm a huge Freddy Krueger fan as well as a Saw fan. They're like my 2 favorite horrors.
And what about you?
On the back burner, I have the Vault Dweller suit from Fallout 4 that I'm working on. I've always wanted to do Artemisia from 300.
So do you guys have a website or anything where people can see your cosplay? Or?
Yeah, mine is K Cosplayer, just the letter K Cosplayer, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr.
And you?
Mine's Mistress Headley, Headly. I know, weird name, but it's got its reasons. On Instagram and Facebook.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Shazam!
All right, we're back on the convention floor. We've been interviewing cosplayers all day, and we're talking to somebody who's wearing a really well-done, elaborate Shazam Captain Marvel costume. And would you mind telling our listeners what specific iteration of Captain Marvel this is?
I am Marvel from Injustice: Gods Among Us, which is a sequel which follows the New 52 storyline, which I am currently reading.
Yeah, and you were telling us about all the different iterations of Shazam and Captain Marvel you've cosplayed as over the years.
Yes, I began as Captain Marvel, specifically as portrayed by Jackson Bostwick in the program. Then I went up to the New 52 series as Shazam. Then I went to Mr. Marvel as seen in Thy Kingdom Come, which is another hardback. And then after that I did Lord Marvel, which was last year, where Billy Batson becomes the wizard at the Rock of Eternity. Now I'm doing Marvel as seen in Injustice: Gods Among Us, where there's no dual identity. Now next year will be my final year. I'll be doing Lord Shazam as seen in the aftermath of the DC Universe, the aftermath of when Darkseid dies and everything changes. So the powers will not be from the pantheons that he's always known them from.
Right. Well, I can't remember. What are the heroes that make up Shazam?
The pantheons, that would be Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Mercury, Zeus, and Achilles.
All right. Well, so obviously you are a huge fan of this character.
Yes, and a great fan of Greco-Roman mythology, which inspires me to love this character so much. The transition, the powers of flight, speed, and strength, and clairvoyance. A lot of people leave out the clairvoyance that comes from the good King Solomon, because that's what allows him to have this wisdom into speaking just different language patterns.
So how much time went into making this costume?
Well, this costume was actually, what you see, the main parts were made for me by a group known as the Cosplay Fly. They're located via the eBay online. Now, the boots came from the Heroes Time, which is also online. Now, the eyebrows that I'm wearing, patches, they came from the Act 1 costumes. Unk staff that I'm wielding came from the Etsy.
Okay.
This was handcrafted.
Now, what about the ring?
The ring. Oh, yes. Thanks for referencing the ring. The ring came from Aroba Silver, which is located in the United States of Mexico. Found them online, too. Searching for some real power rings for my Green Lantern cosplayers in my group. Came across this. And
Do you have a website or anything where people can see your cosplay or contact you?
No, I'm not hooked onto any of the social media networks. I attend all of these events faithfully. There's 4 events each year, starting with the Free Comic Book Day event at the Collector's Corner here in Charm City in Parkville. Then I do it at the Comic-Con at the Inner Harbor. Now here at the Monster-Mania here in Hunt Valley. And then, of course, next month it'll be Halloween. We always do it at the Power Plant Live.
Wow, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you as well.
Put a little weekend in your week. Rent a video.
All right, we are here at the VHS Preservation Society with George. We talk about these guys every time we come to Monster-Mania because it's my absolute favorite place to get videos here at the convention. You want to tell our listeners what the VHS Preservation Society is all about?
Yeah, basically, I've spent my whole life going to video stores, and they came up when I was younger. I rented videos and would spend hours and hours in a video store throughout the entire life of the whole VHS thing. When it started to fade out a few years ago, we just wanted to keep it going as much as we could and try to bring these movies that you would only see see at a video store that we knew would never make it to DVD or you'd never be able to find retail. And so what we've always done is we, from all sources that we could find, we would be collecting as many unusual videotapes as possible. We want to bring them out to you, so we take them from VHS. We have a way to do it, and we convert it over to DVD with all the original box art, and we try to set up in a way that looks like an old original video store. The whole idea is we want to make sure that all of these titles that everyone has remembered and forgotten are out there and not truly forgotten. So we try to present as close as we can to the old video rental experience as possible. When you come to us, you can find your old favorites, find new favorites that you didn't know about, remind yourself of things that you may have forgotten, try to just relive that old video store experience as best you can while you're with us.
And that's something I really love about your disc, is that it really replicates the experience of watching a tape. Your menus always have original music, you always have the little stingers at the end of the program. Whenever I buy one of your tapes, I always have to watch it to the end to see those. What was the inspiration behind that?
To be honest with you, we just really love pulling out the best little clip out of the movie that might make somebody smile. A real inspiration for that was Mystery Science Theater 3000. At the end of every episode of that, they would pull out 5 to 10 second stinger out of the movie of just the silliest thing that happened in that movie. And we thought that was a lot of fun, and we thought we could bring that to you guys also. So that's what we do.
So I have a big question for you. I'm sure you never get asked this, but out of your whole collection, what is your absolutely favorite movie?
That is one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked. People ask me that all the time, and my answer is generally, it's hard for me to actually have a favorite. I have about a half a dozen movies here that are some of my favorites from over the years. Pulling out one particular one has always really been difficult, but I do have a handful that I always steer people towards that I'm sure are my favorites that even some people may never have even heard of.
Well, and I gotta say, right now in the background you're listening to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, which is one of those bizarre out-of-print classics.
Well, I'm almost a little embarrassed to say that I'm old enough to have watched that when it first aired on television in 1978. I haven't actually seen it again until I came across the tape and we converted it and done it again, and now since we've had it, I've watched it over and over and over again. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park is truly a great classic because everybody can watch it. There's nothing offensive about it. It was geared for 70s television, which means it had to be completely family friendly to show up on as a movie of the week. It's hard to find. It's been very popular since we've been showing it to people, so I'm glad we have it.
Well, thanks so much for talking to us, Stuart. I know I've said over and over again I'm a huge fan of what you guys do. Earlier today I bought Night Warning and Grim Prairie Tales, I think. You can always find something here that I've heard about for years and I haven't had the chance to see.
Well, thank you. I mean, our whole thing is we try to replicate that old video store experience as closely as we can, and I hope that we succeed. And you know, and when you get something from us, when you put that DVD on, it's almost like watching the videotape. We have everything on there, from the original FBI warnings to any coming attractions. There's clips or previews that might have been on the tape. They are on the DVD. Goes right into the feature, and sit tight for the end of the movie because you get that little stinger at the end. We hope it's what people are looking for, and we'd like everybody to come out and visit us as often as possible.
You have so many people who sell out-of-print DVDs and stuff here at the conventions don't put that much effort into the presentation of the disc, but you guys do, and that's something I've really appreciated over the years.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. You know, we work hard to do that for you, and that's the feel that we're going for. We always appreciate it when people recognize what we're doing.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find your website?
You can find us online at www.vhsps.com.
All right, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Here we are talking with a vendor, and can you tell our viewers what you guys are about?
I am Matt Kelly. I'm the host of Horror Movie Night. It is a podcast between myself and my friends Scott and Adam. Scott and Adam weren't able to make it here today. Scott lives in Ohio and Adam lives up in Canada. Every week for the last 2 years, we've watched a shitty horror film from the 80s or 90s and discussed it and lambasted it. We're here selling some shirts, handing out business cards. Scott is also a musician, so we're selling a bunch of his music. He does 3 or 4 different music projects. Yeah, if you're into fairly vulgar comedy podcasts about the movies that we know suck, but we like them anyway, then definitely check out our show.
Pretty interested.
Like my favorite types of movies.
Yeah, I'm interested in how exactly you define a shitty movie.
Well, the most recent episode was about street trash.
I still haven't seen that one. People have been recommending street trash to me all year, and I need to watch this fucking movie.
Street trash just dropped. Next week it's going to be October, so we're going to start doing, each one of us picked a movie that we feel like represents a part of Halloween that we love. I picked Bordello of Blood.
Not too bad, yeah.
It came out as a great episode. It's got a lot of fodder for us to just just rip apart, which is what we look for mostly. But then we just finished, September was listener request month. Throughout the last 3 or 4 months, we've collected about 50 or 60 emails from different listeners who were suggesting movies for us, and then we decided upon the 5 that we thought we could get the best episode out of, which is where Street Trash came from. We did an episode on Detention from 2011.
Oh, that was a weird-ass movie.
Yeah. The 2 that definitely gotten us the most attention out of the month of September. Street Trash came out yesterday, and we've already had something like 500-600 listens, so like...
That is way more than our show gets. So do you guys just do horror, or do you do shitty action movies or other things of that nature?
So every Black Friday, we post a poll. Each one of us picks a non-horror movie, and we let the listeners vote for which one will be the first episode of the new year. So that's the one time we do a non-horror film.
What was the last example of that?
Last year was Suburban Commando starring Hulk Hogan.
Love? Do you love it, JD?
I love that movie. It's the best Hulk Hogan movie, which doesn't say much, but like...
I don't know. I like Assault on Devil's Island or whatever the fuck it's called.
Do that. We do random bonus episodes. Last Halloween, we reviewed Goosebumps, the Haunted Mask episode.
Oh, Carly Beth.
This year, I think we're going to do something with, I don't want to give it away, but we'll say a Nickelodeon horror show. We might.
What could that be? Guys' show sounds great. I'll have to look it up. Did they already tell us the contact info?
I didn't. You can check us out at hmnpodcast.com is our website. We're actually, I feel super lucky because that website was built for free by a listener and basically just contacted us after he had built it and said, hey, I felt like you guys needed a website, so I built this on my free time. Do you like it? And we were like, yeah. He did a great job. Probably will be on a shirt or a sticker one day, but he drew an awesome painting of the 3 of us as the Monster Squad.
I see you're wearing the Stephen King Rules shirt.
Yeah. Our 100th episode was on Monster Squad, and through that episode, we actually became really good friends with Andre Gowan and Ryan Lebert, who play Rudy and Sean in the movie. My co-host Scott is actually doing a lot of music for a documentary that they're working on about Monster Squad, and I was interviewed for it. Hopefully you'll see us in an upcoming documentary about Monster Squad.
While we're interviewing you, I have to ask, what's with the ghost boner?
Okay, so this is our t-shirt, Morningwood, was based on an episode we did. Have you ever saw a movie called Odd Thomas?
Yeah, I've seen Odd Thomas.
Yeah, we did. One of our first episodes was on Odd Thomas. And at the end of that movie, the main character has sex with his dead girlfriend's ghosts.
Okay, I admittedly do not remember that part.
They don't focus on it nearly as much as we did. For about 2 years, a catchphrase on our Facebook page was, one more question about ghost sex, please. And one of the questions someone asked was, can a ghost get a boner? We decided to answer it in art. On our Patreon account, we made 25 shirts. 15 of them went to our Patreon subscribers, and the last 10 have been traveling around the country with us as we do different cons. So we're down to about 4 left. Super limited edition. Once it's gone, we're never printing another one.
Well, thanks for talking to us. That sounds really cool. Your show sounds much more popular and successful than ours. Here we are at the end of day 2 of Monster-Mania, which would normally be our last day here, but we're actually staying the whole weekend this time. At the start of today, both of our opinions on this convention was, we're both having fun, but it's not the best Monster-Mania we've been to. But a couple things happened today that sort of made us revise that opinion.
Well, for starters, I found the Godzilla thing that I've been looking for since 2014.
Yeah, the large-scale Godzilla that NECA put out for the most recent American movie. JD has been looking for this thing at every convention we've gone to since the movie was out. We finally found the goddamn thing. Up to that point, we were saying, the dealer's room could be a little better this year. And after that, you're saying, this is the best Monster-Mania ever.
I mean, I was kidding. It definitely made it significantly better when I found that Godzilla.
That was one of 2 good things that happened today. You talked me into actually getting some interviews with some people on the floor, some cosplayers, some vendors. And you know what? That was actually a really good idea. I sort of felt like I was connecting with our local horror community more than I ever have before.
You're welcome, buddy. Anytime.
We'll be upfront with you. The original plan was we wanted Tobin Bell to do the intro for this year's episode because it's become a tradition to get a celeb to do an intro for an episode. Tobin Bell saying something.
You want to play a little game?
Something like that, doing the Jigsaw voice would be really cool. He had a really long line, and we didn't even see what he was charging. We just didn't want to wait in line for 3 hours to get a sound bite. But we assumed it was probably a lot. They went at $70 for Rose McGowan. They probably wanted at least the same amount for Tobin Bell.
Yeah, we made up for it.
Yes, we did. When JD said, hey, well, Doug Bradley's here, let's get him to do a sound bite. I thought, all right, well, that's cool. And, you know, we met Doug Doug once before at the very first convention we ever did together. Horrifying. And he was friendly, but just a little distracted and kind of standoffish. And we go up to him and we ask him, Mr. Bradley, do you mind recording a blurb for our podcast? And he said, well, I don't endorse any products I haven't seen myself or something like that. And we were both thinking like, oh, okay, all right. But then we explained, we just want you to say, hi, this is Doug Bradley, you're listening to whatever. And then he agreed to that. And we said, how much do you want, money-wise? And he said, pay me for that. And JD said, we don't want to feel like we're taking advantage of this famous person, this quasi-celebrity here. We got him to sign something. We go to record, and he stops because somebody was shouting, and he told them...
Quiet on the street is what he said.
Yeah, quiet on the set. Recording in process, quiet in the set. He did actually give us this really awesome little blurb for the podcast.
Which you heard.
Doug Bradley seemed like he was going to be kind of a dick and standoffish, but he was actually really cool. What else? I mentioned yesterday, I wanted to go back to that poster dealer and get the Death Wish poster, and I did. We got an interview with the vendor of the VHS Preservation Society, whose name is escaping me, which is something I've been meaning to do for years now, and we decided this was the year. I went home with Night Warning, and JD went home with Invaders from Mars. Anyway, as that poster vendor was going through his collection looking for the Death Wish poster, he pulled out 4 or 5 other posters I wanted. I resisted. I did not buy them. I hope that guy comes back next year. Not that I'll have any more room on my walls then. And I did get a toy. I got Cab Driver Ghost from Ghostbusters. This is from Diamond Select's Ghostbusters line. Last year when Diamond Select did the Janine figure, I said my Ghostbuster collection is complete. Then I saw they were doing this guy. The Cab Driver Ghost scared the shit out of me as a kid. Now I've got that. There was this really cool vendor that was selling these 1930s cartoon versions of various horror characters. And one thing that was cool about that, I was going through his little art book there, and I saw this print that was of the last episode of Tales from the Crypt, the 3 pigs. And I said, oh, that's from the last episode of Tales from the Crypt. And the artist looked at me and said, oh, finally, somebody got it! He's going to go home telling his friend, I told you somebody would get it.
I know, really.
So we did hit some panels, both of which we recorded. You'll be hearing those at the end of the show. The Soska sisters.
Yeah, they're actually pretty entertaining.
It was a very energetic panel, and there was a lot of talk about pro wrestling, most of which went over my head. When everybody started chanting, yes, that's a reference to some wrestler, I know that. I know who The Undertaker is. Beyond that, I was pretty lost. It was one of those guests, you don't even really need to ask them questions. They'll just go on their own if they have to.
We were walking by this one vendor, and they had the Bram Stoker's Dracula figures.
The McFarlane, the very last Movie Maniacs release, Werewolf and Bat Draculas from that movie, yeah.
They were selling for $25 a piece or $30 for both.
Yeah.
They're coming home with me.
Yeah, those are cool figures. Immediately after the Soska sisters panel was the Rose McGowen panel. It was very political. She talked a lot about being a woman and working in Hollywood. You'll hear the panel in the show. It was one of those situations where I ostensibly agree with the majority of the things she's saying. It really sucked the fun out of the room.
You could tell there was like a weird vibe in the room.
Rose McGowen is all about that because that was primarily what she talked about. Then we went to dinner. I gotta talk about this place. Apparently it's a local restaurant chain. There's a couple of these in and around the area, and it's called the Iron Rooster, and their specialty is Southern style soul food. I gotta tell you, the food there was fucking incredible. The appetizer we got was deviled eggs with crab meat in them.
Yeah, and they're called Krabby Devils.
Yeah, Krabby Devils, and they were really good. See, I got the crab hash, which was basically eggs and potatoes and vegetables and then crab meat, and it was really fucking tasty. What did you get?
I got the chicken and waffles.
Oh, yeah, that was the first time you'd ever had chicken and waffles.
Yeah, and it was pretty good.
We're kind of adjacent to New Jersey and Pittsburgh. I know people from that area, and they're always talking about the pork roll, with this traditional breakfast meat in the New Jersey and Pittsburgh area, and they had it there on the menu there. Oh, well, this is my first chance. I gotta try this pork roll everybody talks about. It's good. Basically tastes to me like fried ham lunch meat. It's good. I don't quite get why it's this institution.
Maybe it's just the way they're serving it.
Who knows? And then the dessert we got.
Oh my god. They call it a Pop-Tart in quotation marks.
Yeah, because it's about twice the size of the Pop-Tart you get in the box, and also it's way more fucking delicious. I said to the waiter, you call this a Pop-Tart, but it's really like a pie.
Well, and I told them that they should sue Pop-Tart for using their idea.
We got the cinnamon one, so it was full of cinnamon and gooey syrupy, and they had whipped cream and powdered sugar on top of it. It was fucking delicious. We've been eating very well this weekend.
Yeah, very well.
So back at the hotel, back at Monster-Mania, we went to the costume contest. Because we usually leave on Saturday nights, we never have had a chance to go to the costume contest before. Don't think the previous years we were missing too much, which is sort of disappointing. There were a lot of really great costumes this year.
But none of them participated in the contest.
Yeah, they all must have left it. The 4 categories were kids, scariest, most original, and sexiest. And
which was a complete and utter joke, the sexiest.
The kids category, this little 3-year-old redheaded boy was dressed up as Chucky. Oh wow, he looks just like Chucky. He's the right size. But the winner was this little girl dressed as Captain Spaulding, and she was pretty cute, I guess.
Still should have asked her if she thought clowns were funny.
Yeah. Then the scariest category had some really awesome makeup in it. There was a guy dressed up as Part 6, Jason, whom I'm pretty sure we've seen around the convention before.
There's only so many of us in the world that appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah. And then my favorite, he didn't win, but my favorite was a guy, he was wearing a Freddy Krueger mask appliance on his face, and he had the glove and everything, but then he was wearing a suit. And when they asked him what his costume was, he said, Freddy for president in 2020 is actually less scary than our current president.
Or is it the president?
Oh, the president. The Jason one. That was pretty cool. And the most original costume, I honestly don't even... There was a lot of original characters. There was this woman dressed up in a really cool De los Muertos outfit.
She won.
Yeah, she won. A person dressed as a Freddy Krueger Deadpool mashup named...
Fredpool.
Yeah, and yesterday we're pretty sure we saw the same guy in a Deadpool Pinhead cosplay. When JD asked him, he said his name was
Pin Deadpool.
JD said, well, Pinhead Pool is obviously the superior name. I guess it's certainly possible. Deadpool's a really popular character, but I think it was the same guy. And then the last category was sexy, which was...
lackluster at best. The only person that could have pulled off even being remotely called sexy, and I hate to say this, is the guy cosplaying as Ash.
Tell it, he at least works out.
He actually kind of fit the part. He had the chiseled chin, playing the part. He kind of looked the part. He's the only one that really should have won that.
Yeah, and then I don't even remember what the other one... Oh, there was this woman that was wearing the pig mask from Jigsaw, and then she was wearing lingerie, which is not the most original sexy costume.
She was wearing a bra and half-ass booty shorts.
So anyway, the costume contest was super disappointing. So I guess we will be heading home in the morning. I think the plan is we're going to get up, we're going to check out, we're going to just go around the dealer's room one more time. But tomorrow, before we leave, we'll give you our general impressions of Monster-Mania 38. Oh, and we ran into the Monster Madhouse guy again, kind of a local horror host show. I've met this guy many, many times over the years. He's gone to a lot of the same events, and I've always described him as kind of a cross between Rob Zombie and Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Said, hey, it's the Monster Madhouse guy. Oh, yeah. And we talked to us for a few minutes, and he gave us some free posters and stickers and stuff, so that was fun.
Yeah, I guess he just appreciates being recognized.
And he had a booth a couple years ago, but usually we just see him around the con, you know?
Yeah.
He's a pretty distinctive looking dude. So anyway, yeah, we're having fun. It's been a good weekend. So that's another Monster-Mania in the can. It's Sunday afternoon. We're getting ready to go home. Monster-Mania 38 is concluded. What are your general thoughts on this year's convention?
I've been to better Monster-Manias, but I've been to worse.
If the dealer's room was a little better and the guest list was a little better, I think this probably would have been one of the best. Had a really good time.
Well, see, I had that huge disappointment with Rose McGowen because I really wanted to meet her, but $70 just for a signature.
Well, you did get to ask her a question, though.
I did get to ask her a question, which is a question that she seemed to like answering.
All the guests were really cool, not a single asshole in the bunch. Yeah, did we mention the human meat last night?
I don't know if we mentioned the human meat or not.
The guy is wearing an apron, and then he has his two female assistants who are wearing very, very short skirts. Anyway, they're selling pork jerky, but they call it human meat.
Well, it's veal, too.
Yeah, it's pork and veal with two meats I've heard actual cannibals compare human flesh to. I gotta tell you, it was actually really good. We went back and got some more this morning. I've always heard the main reason to stay on Sunday is for the Sunday sales, for the please don't make me take the stuff home sales. I don't know, I got a DVD, I got Burial Grounds from Severin, which I've actually never seen. You got a Marvel Comics pillow for your nephew?
Yeah, it's handmade.
Other than that, I was really sort of hoping for more in the way of sales.
A lot of the toy vendors were actual brick and mortar stores that were just there trying to sell some of their product at the horror convention, so they didn't really want to budge, which I understand.
If we had not gone down to the convention floor before we left today and just gone straight home, we would have been okay.
Yeah.
Both kind of funned out. But it was a good trip. Definitely a big improvement over last year, though we're not home yet, so let's not tempt fate.
Well, yes, definitely.
Yeah, so always, thank you for listening. Hoping to get some more episodes out before Halloween. We will see you guys soon, all right? Stay scary. Have a spooky October.
Let your Spooktober begin.
Welcome to Elevator. I'm Jen, Sylvia. We're so glad you're here. Ready to play?
Brad. These girls are notorious for Dead Hooker in a Trunk, American Mary, See No Evil 2, and the game show Elevator. Jen and Sylvia Soska.
Hi, thanks for coming. I have to use my big voice. Oh, hi guys, thanks for coming. Everyone just came to get a good seat for Rose McGowan after us, right? Yep. Tell her I love her so madly. I haven't gotten to her yet. That's ominous. I always sound like
So you girls were such a hit in Cherry Hill that you just had to come here for more Monster-Mania. We didn't get enough sauces.
It's true. Can anyone truly get enough sauce?
You really can't.
That's why they made 2 of us.
That makes sense. Why don't we start from the beginning? Is that cool?
Yes.
All right, cool.
During the conception.
I've known you for,
he was there too. That's why we're going way
I
back.
didn't want to say that.
Mom, sorry, God.
They needed a cheering section. I've known you guys for 7 years.
I'm sorry.
And when you had started with a little movie, Dead Hooker in a Trunk. So, what was the process for you? Like, as hard as, because you're women, filmmakers, especially 7 years ago now, it's making much more success.
Absolutely.
How hard was it for you, and what inspired you to make that movie? Were you expecting for it to be, I guess, for it to really steamroll your career? I mean, everybody always wants that, or were you just making a film because you love film? There's a lot to probably answer there.
Well, I would say ignorance is bliss. We had no idea what actually went into making a movie. We never made a short film. We went right into features, and that was because of Rebel Without a Crew. And we watched all of Rodriguez's 10-minute film schools, and I was like, wow, man. And at the end of the book, he goes, you make the movie, and I'll bring the popcorn. I was like, shit, well, I want to do that. And I was like, oh, I did it just because I thought it was going to be Robert Rodriguez. 7 years later, still haven't. I will say also, it was a real challenge, as you mentioned. There was no conversation happening about let's champion female filmmakers. I've been a gimmick, and I've heard for most of my career, can we just be done with the Soska sisters? Are they done trying to be directors? No, we are not done trying to be directors. They could be Deadpool or bust, but I'm glad that I knew nothing about making films when we made Dead Hooker in a Trunk, because I had zero budget. I just had my credit cards and what we had in our bank account. And God bless the writers who went on strike 10 years ago, because it turned out there were people in Vancouver that were way too talented to work with us, but they were bored because work trickles up from LA to Vancouver. So when the work stopped there, there's nothing happening in Canada. And we like to work in Canada, eh? And the funniest thing is, our story actually made it all the way to Carlos Gallardo, who was the original El Mariachi. And he was like, so I hear you girls are making this crazy movie in Vancouver. I'm like, yeah, would you play God in it? And he's like, yes, but under one circumstance, you don't pay me. And I was like, whoa, that's exactly what I had in my budget for you. And then it took 5 years for that movie to come out. It took forever. We were already making American Mary when the DVD came out. And IFC now is re-releasing the movie on Blu-ray finally with all of the extra features and everything. So they're going to make a big... I don't know if I was allowed to say that, but I think in November they're making big ones.
I think I went to Sam Goody to buy it, and I think Sam Goody's gone now. So I can probably tell you how long it's been, seriously. But I remember when it came out, I literally went... You guys had sent me a free DVD before, but we went and I said, we got to support him, so we went and bought the new copy.
Oh, bless
now,
you.
Of course, we buying the Blu-ray, whether my wife likes it or not, because she says I have too many movies. That's a whole
Kim
other
likes
story.
our movies, though. That and Red Robin are her favorite.
And I think independent film was in a different place back then, where now it's much more acceptable to make independent films, and there it was much harder to really be seen. Everyone now has the ability to make their own movie on their phone.
Yeah.
But back then it was much harder. I know that I was struggling back then, and it was, the community was also open to trying to help build.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But because the community was much smaller, and now the
Absolutely.
community is much bigger, which isn't a bad thing, but everyone now is kind of trying to do their own thing.
Very much so. I almost feel like we're the CM Punk of horror making. Like, no studio chose us. It was the people and the reviewers and the community that kept putting our names forward. So by the time Dead Hooker was out to sell, Paramount came over. They're like, what's this movie about dead hookers in a trunk? They're like, we don't want it. We're just curious what it is.
I shared my CM Punk story earlier.
Did you?
I did.
Bless him.
No, it was, I owned a wrestling company in 2001, and I was partners with Steve Carino, who now works at NXT. He's part of, don't make that sigh. He's a terrible person. No, he's not really. CM Punk had come up because we had booked Chris Hero, and I said, Punk came up to me and he says, oh, here's, I want to come work for you guys. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I'll go talk to Steve. So I go talk to Steve, and people are like, just get on the Soskas. But anyway, they're wrestling fans. So
I love CM Punk. I listen to his stories all day long.
And Steve says, no, man, fuck that guy. He wears shorts to wrestle in. And I said, you watch, this kid's going to be big. And I'm still kind of waiting because CM Punk still isn't really.
I have a funny story to tell you about privately after. I have. If you guys are CM Punk fans, keep an eye on that guy. He's going to be doing amazing, amazing things, especially in the next year.
Yeah, he's a good guy. All right, anyway, so let's have some fans ask questions, and if I don't see any hands go up, there's going to be problems here. I have two really good girls here to back me up, so much tougher than me. Go ahead in the back.
What's the current status on the Painkiller Jane movie?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. I'm going to be very diplomatic because I'm being recorded. Painkiller Jane was our film at first. We announced it at Comic-Con a couple of years ago with See No Evil 2. There was somebody on the project who will remain nameless that did not want us on the project and removed us to replace us with nobody. There was a confusion with Jessica Chastain coming on, and I didn't believe he had her, and he didn't. He has her now, but every time a story comes up, I don't think Miss Chastain knows that the history of what happened there. We may be doing Painkiller Jane still, but there has been, there's a lot of stories behind the scenes as to what happens with films, and there's a reason more films are not made than they are made. I believe there's something that we're releasing in February that will get us hired for any superhero movie ever. And I'll say it right now, it's going to be a viral video, and people are going to say, wow, why didn't you pick them as the Deadpool directors? Well, here's the thing, we're back up for that job, so wish us luck 2018. I'm going back to the office to pitch to get Painkiller Jane back, because I always wanted to do a superhero movie, especially, you've never seen regeneration done right. Like, I want a big leg, but Death becomes her hole in her stomach, and then seeing her spine pop back in, and then the intestines snaking back in, and all the blood flowing. Like, that is like my kind of thing. Yeah, we dyed our hair red for Jane, and in solidarity. We did! You're like, we kept it red. And also, from a female gaze, she's bisexual. I don't want it to be a gratuitous, like, tit shot, like, hey, it's gay okay, except it's just going to be shit on shit. Yeah. So I would like to be a female director. If you guys want to help us out, make some noise online. Be like, why the fuck are the twins not directing Painkiller Jane? What happened? I will try not to blow the interview.
I think online is such a way for fans to be heard.
Absolutely.
So if you guys want something, you have to, you have to push for it. So, I hate to say there's a mob mentality online, but there is. So it can really go their way if everybody's saying, we really want to see them as a part of it. So, all right, who has the next question? Yes.
Okay, so really curious, how do you become a professional elevator?
Okay. So another willing victim, I love it. She's nice now, but if you try to take her money, she will cut you down. How you do it is you go to www.gsntv.com/elevator and /casting. Casting isn't open right now, and they're kind of on the fence whether the show's going to come back. There wasn't a season order this year because they're just doing family-friendly kind of stuff, but it might come back next year. If you really, really, really want to get on the show, get your team right now and shoot a video and send it to them. And then send another video and send another video, because GSN doesn't have that much of a social media interaction except for Elevator, and they love that kind of thing. So if they're like, wait a minute, we put Elevator down and it keeps rising again, they're like, fine, one more season, how badly can it do? And the most important thing to highlight is your personality. I won't piss on any contestants, but some have the personalities of wallpaper. No bueno. No bueno. Are you talking about the guy who got crushed in this shrinking room? His name was Michael. He slept. Is he here? No, he's still silently crushed in that room. We never scraped him out. He deserved to die in there. Trigger warning, Jen hates her. dumbass model. I didn't meet the models afterwards. They were not intelligent enough to have a conversation. And I feel that I would have gotten physical with them. I think she would have. It was better for the show. The lawyers need to do.
With all the you guys are nerds. I mean, you guys are admittedly nerds.
Guilty, yes.
So I'm surprised that you guys haven't really pushed much to work for Marvel or to actually write a comic. I mean, you guys, are constantly gushing over Deadpool.
I know.
You obviously get the humor, and you know enough to where you could easily write a script.
Wouldn't it have been heartbreaking if while I was going for Deadpool 2, Marvel messaged me and gave me an opportunity for my own Deadpool miniseries that they took away? Wouldn't that have been the most heartbreaking thing that ever happened? If that happened, and if also we were going to be writing Elektra, Black Widow, Wiccan and Hulkling as well, but that's a pretty heartbreaking thing if that happened. I'm not saying that it did. I'm not saying that 4 storylines got dropped after a year of work, but here's the thing. The first thing they ever let us write at Marvel was Secret Wars Battle Journal number 5 with Night Nurse, and we got 10 pages, and I was like, oh my god. 10 pages. And we were only allowed Night Nurse, and we were allowed to mention Stephen Strange's name once, and we used Daredevil in silhouette once. And that was a battle. But we were so excited. I was like, that's all we'll ever get. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson dropped out of doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and obviously if you're replacing him, you think, oh, the Soska sisters, right? Because they're space cases. Get me the Soskas. They know space and shit. So we did a really fun story called Who's the Ripley, where we had Rocket and Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord, and they're all like ripping on the Alien series, and they're like, who's the Ripley, who's the most hardcore out of them? Obviously it's going to be Rocket, but obviously. But Star-Lord and Star-Lady try really hard to be badass, and it does not go well for them. Yeah, Star-Lord delivers an alien exploding, and there's just such a beautiful shot of his face covered in blood with like the legs spread and things coming out, and him thinking, I am definitely not the Ripley. So yes, I hope so. I very almost wrote many things for Marvel. Marvel, if you guys are out there, Marvel, I'd eat glass for you. Anytime. Fooled me 4 times, shame on me. 5th time, I'm still here. Careful, Marvel. What if DC offers us Catwoman? If they gave me Catwoman with Anne Hathaway, we would do My Sister's Keeper, and it would be dope. Someone from DC is gonna Joss Whedon scoop us.
Alright, who has another question?
Yes. I just really like you guys, and I really like food, and I just really want to know your favorite food.
Oh, bless you. I really like you too. Come hug me later. I'm air hugging you. Do you feel it?
I feel it.
It's like with the force. She's sending it out there. We're both Hungarian, so our favorite food is nokkedli and chicken paprikash. That's like little dumplings with like spicy chicken on it. If you could get us Hungarian food, we just melt. I'm like, oh my god, it's my favorite. I'll start speaking Hungarian because it was my first language. I also really love sushi. Oh yeah, Meg Kubi gets some of the greatest sushi in the world. It's wonderful. Yeah, she'll eat the whole ocean. I absolutely will. There's a couple places in Vancouver that no longer offer all you can eat. Well, we used to go in with our dojo, and we'd go after, how hungry you are after working out, and they were foolish enough to have all-you-can-eat oysters. I think we ordered a plate of 100, and then another after that. It just got mysteriously taken off the menu forever. Yes, we're bad for business.
Alright, anybody else? Yes, right here, yeah.
Just a comment. The best sushi joint in the area is Annapolis, Maryland. Go look for it, Johnson.
Oh, thank you. Somebody drive out and get it for me. No. Oh God, please no, I'm so Canadian. I feel so guilty. I'm like, no, please, I don't have it with me.
Yes.
Yes, did you find it more challenging making shorter films than full-length films? And would you like to make more? Just like your segment for ABC's and Delta? Which I thought was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Proudly banned in Germany. Well, it was so funny. The first ABCs of Death, if you saw it, I got in a lot of trouble for sexual violence. And L is for libido. Do you remember that one? Yes. Ooh, the censors remember that. So laughing at well, and T is for, we wanted to do T is for torture porn, and then we saw T is for toilet, which obviously won because it was a claymation, so we're like, next year we'll do this one. I love doing short films because they usually let me have a little bit of more creative control. And at that time, I was making See No Evil 2, and I was like, oh, this isn't hardcore enough. This isn't hardcore enough. I look back and I see that Catherine and Isabel got eaten out in front of one of their superstars. I'm like, okay, they let me get away with a lot. we were aiming for an 11. Though. We were aiming. Like, we wanted, instead of the saw to come through, it was going to be a chainsaw. And the big studio argument was, where did he get a chainsaw? I'm like, dude, no one's going to say, where did he get a chainsaw? And they'll be like, hey, he's got a chainsaw! But I actually find short films are harder to make in the way that you can't waste a second with a short film. With a feature film, and especially with a television series, you kind of dilly-dally for a while, and you can take these long, languid moments. And with a short film, you have to be really like scrutinizing every shot, and what's the information in each frame. And as you can tell, I'm long-winded, so man, it's hard to censor myself down. We're actually shooting a pilot in 2 weeks. We're working with Lucha Gore, and it's a pilot written by Rob Fee. It's being produced by OBB Picture Productions. And the cool thing about it is it's a lot of short form. So I'm really excited because it's, I don't want to give a kiss away to it, but it's something that I really like watching when I want to creep myself out. And I'm like, oh man, and now we get to make a bunch of shorts, and we get to make a bunch of directors and writers around the world to add into it. Because I love that kind of ABCs kind of mix where you get like a little box of chocolates and all the fucked up people out there.
Who had one over here? Somebody? Yes, all the way in the back, yeah.
Me?
Gary!
Hey. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Are you gonna like call up Kane again and say that I said Undertaker? Are you gonna say Undertaker or are you gonna say Kane? Undertaker. Oh! It's always Undertaker. And for me, Undertaker retired at WrestleMania when he fought against CM Punk and honored Paul Bearer's life. There are no other WrestleManias that occurred in my heart. He retired, everyone fulfilled his career, we were very respectful of the streak, and life goes on. I like how you said the streak like it was a swear word. Streak. I love Kane, especially from working with him. His storyline is what really got us into wrestling. I love Big Show. He's like my son, although he's like 16 times my size. Very diplomatic of you, but who's the person that we had arguments over? Shawn Michaels, the high train kid. He's my absolute favorite. I just saw him at SummerSlam and he was dressed like Colonel Sanders, but I couldn't even see it because it was Shawn and I was like crying and losing my mind. I was like, he's so sexy. And then it's on Instagram. You will see Still cry over Shawn Michaels dressed like the KFC Colonel. We got that. We got enough for that. We're meeting him at Rockula. No, Rockula really meets in Chicago. Where? It's in Chicago. Yeah, we're meeting him in Chicago. Okay, well we're meeting him somewhere and I don't know what's going to happen because I can't even speak to Triple H because of his association with HBK. Like, he comes by me, and they're like, oh, meet Sylvia, one of our directors, and he must think I'm you, and I'm just like... I couldn't speak in front of Stone Cold. I was hanging out at a Make-A-Wish thing with Mick Foley, and I thought I'd talk to him for 5 seconds, like, oh, hello, Mick. He was like my date all night. I felt like so proud. I was like, oh, I'm with Mick. And then at one point, like, everyone came over, like the Godfather. They all show their respect to Mick. Absolutely, and Stone Cold came over and I'm like... They were on the red carpet when he came in, and I was like, oh my god, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the interviewer actually had the balls to say who. And I'm like, the guy who looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes, yep, Freddie.
Freddie Poole.
Freddie Poole. That's a good one.
The See No Evil 2 is actually where I first discovered you guys.
Oh!
And as much as the first movie is a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, I actually liked the second one a lot better.
Oh, thank you.
Is there any interesting stories of how you guys got involved in that since you weren't involved in the first?
It was really interesting. So after American Mary, nobody would hire us. Literally nobody would hire us unless they had something that was so sexist. They were like, "Oh, this is really sexist. Maybe if we hired you, it would fix it." I'm like, I can't change a movie where all you do is rape girls in a basement and make it empowering. I literally cannot do that. We were actually pitched that, and I said I would do it if I could change the genders. And they told me it was disgusting. I said, yeah, it is disgusting. disgusting anus. So we got a message from our reps, and they're like, we have a script emergency, read this script tonight. I'm like, sure. We didn't. There's no such thing as a script emergency, or so I thought. And then we get a message like, did you read that script yet? I was like, oh, for real. And they were really sweet. They're like, it's WWE, keep an open mind. And I'm like, you're representing the wrong girls, because we are the biggest WWE fans. And we started watching when that was the Kane intro storyline. So, 97. And even in the script, the original script, Undertaker was in it too. There was a point where Undertaker was there and we both had our desks next to each other and we just pushed away and we just got up and we were like, oh, I can't, oh! And I was sure they would never hire us. Oh, why would they hire us? No. So the next day they put us on the phone. They're like, you're going to talk to the producers. And I thought my people would be there to like make sure I didn't make an ass of myself. It was just like Lionsgate Studios and WWE Studios. And we just gushed about wrestling and gushed about the slashes and we gushed about how awesome it was. It was like a 21-minute phone call. I was like, I know you guys are going to make a great movie no matter what happens. I just can't wait to see it. I'm like, thank you so much for even talking to me. And then we get a phone call from our reps and they're like, I don't know what you girls did, but they hired you. I was like, what? It was pretty amazing, especially because we were the first female directors they've ever hired, and then we were the first directors, period, that they rehired. Yeah, and points of pride. I met Linda McMahon and she shook my hand. So you got friends in politics is what you're saying. Stephanie shook my hand too. I have not met Vince yet. This hand is waiting for you, Vinny-Mac. They wouldn't let us meet Vince. At one point we were discussing whether or not we were going to set Glenn on fire, aka Kane. And the studio head was like, I'm dialing Vince right now, you tell him. I'm like, give me the phone, give me the phone, give me the phone. He's like, oh wait, no. I forgot you two were psychotic now. And how?
Shook my hand. Who else has a question? Anybody? Yes, right here.
Speaking of Dean, can you tell us what it's like to work with Dean and
Oh, I always say that working with Dean Cain ruined working with any other actor for me. He is the most professional. He doesn't sit in his trailer. He's talking to everyone. He knows his lines. He is in wardrobe the moment that we actually start. There's always people like, he's not changed yet. He's not changed yet. Dean was never late. Dean never fucked up a single thing. Sorry, I could not censor myself because Dean Cain is perfect. He's so awesome. Okay, so every day he had a coordinated fight sequence. So we do a 12-hour day. Then he'd go to the gym with the stunt team and go through the beats of the fight. And then he would like come back and like even extras, he'd be bringing them treats and waters. He'd be like, oh, I'm running over to Crafties. Does anybody want anything? And when you have that guy as your number one, nobody could bitch out. Like, not a single person. If somebody complained that Dean Cain and like Big Show would rip their dick off, they'd be like, oh no, okay. Literally rip their dicks off. Yeah, we have a basket of dicks. It was a human But Dean was amazing. We want to do Vendetta too. We want him to go kill Snyder. Yeah. Still. I love Michael Eklund as well, but he gotta die. He gotta die.
What's amazing is they actually haven't even drank their energy drinks yet.
Shit gets real when we do.
Yes.
I was just wondering, can I purchase one of the dicks from your basket?
Yeah, of course you may. I actually have so many. So we have a severed dicks in my place. Do you want to explain why you have so many severed dicks in your place? I like fine things. I love prosthetics, so I have a lot of pieces. Like I have Ruby's nipples that were cut off on the wall. I've got the anal beads from Dead Hooker on the wall. I can't say whose dick I ripped off recently, but you have to watch Shudder. There's a new show called The Core, and someone lost a dick. Anyhow, definitely check it out. It's this great new show. They grabbed directors. Mary Herron's on it. They got Adam Green was on it. And what's his name? Simon Barrett was on it, and they grabbed these directors and they talk about what kind of encompasses their whole career. And we're so excited. We're like, wow, it's going to be like body horror, right? What do you think of when you think of the Soskas? And they said, you're going to rip some dicks off. And I was like, oh. That explains why the dating life just doesn't happen. But definitely don't miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I would say it's our most epic connect to me yet.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, so we only have about 15 minutes left because someone has to go get bloody. So, what are you guys doing now? Like, what is on the table, or what are you trying to get done that you can speak about now?
I'm so excited. Okay, so the Canadian government is supporting a remake of David Cronenberg's Rabid, which we are so elated to do. They gave us full creative control. So we wrote the script. We got to put in body horror that has literally never been done in a movie at all, and the movie is actually a jumping off point for a TV series. So, you know how Stranger Things kind of encompasses everything Stephen King? Well, the Rabid TV series is going to encompass everything Cronenberg, and it's like our big dream to be able to do that. And there's also like a level of stalkeriness where there's like in-jokes just for him from interviews he did in 1977. I think there's a restraining order or a hug in my future. I'm not sure which one. Rabid also in itself, for anyone who likes American Mary, it's kind of an extension of the thoughts that we began in American Mary now, you know, present day. And it's also a study of all of David's work. So like I said, he's going to watch it and be like, wow. Either I'm very flattered or I'm very disturbed. I'm just sitting there reading Cronenberg on Cronenberg. I'm so into his head. I almost feel like his illegitimate daughter. Sorry, Brandon. I want it on the family. And we've been trying really, really hard to break into not being in front of the camera, but behind the camera on TV. So we've finally infiltrated TV because I love doing movies, but then I find myself going back to the well and be like, please come back, I want to work with my favorite people. But with TV, we're in for the long haul. I can't say what these shows are, but they're very...
I was gonna.
You can't. What if I just say one of them? No,
No,
you can't say that. You want to say which one you're shadowing on? Is that the one? I don't know if you're allowed to. No one said you're not allowed to. Okay, just
No one said I wasn't allowed to say we're shadowing on Shadow Hunters.
Okay, we're shadowing on Shadow Hunters. It's one of my favorite shows. I love Shadow Hunters. It's just a bunch of beautiful young people that take their clothes off and kill demons and then cry. It's like Buffy for right now. I love that. It's all LGBTQ. There's even an asexual vampire. It's like, oh, by the time they started getting into that, it was like, how progressive. Yes. They didn't want me, but I ran hard. I'm all about it. That's us. We're crazy ambitious. Like, once you get a case of Soskas, we do not go away. We also have our comic book, Kill Crazy Nicholas Attack, finally coming out in January. We had a slight publication issue because it's totally uncensored, right? We thought, just write whatever you want. Well, some places in, actually all of North America won't publish what we wrote. But China will. China will very happily.
Yes.
Excellent. I love you too.
So, you guys were talking to the Undertaker at Monster-Mania.
I would love that. You know what? I'm going to hit up his brother Kane and be like, come on, Brothers of Destruction, Twisted Twins, let's do this. Please, I directed 2 movies for you. Just let me hang out with him, please.
I know Undertaker started doing some shows, but from what I understand, it's like super limited. Like he's only doing like photo ops for like an hour or something like that.
He's such a rock star.
I mean, he is. So you know, I can you know definitely pass that along to Dave and say, hey, you know, usually to be totally honest, like as far as wrestlers go, he always contacts me and says like, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy? You know, and I happen to always say, well, yeah, I think you know so and so is gonna you know be a great draw or whatever. So, I mean, if it ever comes up, I'll definitely you know push him to say yeah. And it's just you know it's just difficult you know because he I think is. He only did Texas.
Yeah.
And I think now he's doing something in New York. Long Island.
See, I'll do some witchcraft. I'm becoming a better and better witch, so I'll bring him. She's going to bring a speaker. I'll do a rain dance for him.
So let me, did you have a question also?
The wrestling question is a very strong. All the way, where do you stand being Canadian?
Yeah, so where do you stand with this Montreal screw job? Welcome to Hollywood, baby. The happies all the time. You know, it was hard because I'm a very proud Canadian, and I did love when HBK would hump the Canadian flag. I thought that was sexy and didn't find it offensive at all. I'm lucky to be friends with Natalia. She's so sweet. I love the heart so much. You are swimming and paddling, my friend. It's hard when you love Sean and you love Brett. What the hell do you do? I'm in a hard place on that. I mean, during Bad Blood, that was the closest Silk and I ever came to killing each other. Because Shawn Michaels did technically beat The Undertaker. Nope, he crawled out of his pool of blood. He crawled, Undertaker put him in. And after Kane beat him, he put his little arm on top of Undertaker. Oh yeah, like a distracted match never counts as an official win. Come on, it's WWE, Jen! Sean Hickenbottom can get back in the cell with Undertaker anytime he wants to prove that he can actually beat him without cheating. He retired Sean now.
Yeah, that's true.
Good. Too soon. Nah.
Favorite film that we may not expect you guys to enjoy? That's sitting there, that you have on DVD or Blu-ray that's at your house.
Oh wow. About a Boy. About a Boy is my crying movie. I watched that and I'm like, I wish I had friends and family. My favorite movie is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I still have my it's the best made film ever. It changed cinema forever. I still have my Roger Rabbit from 1988, and I still sleep with it. My cat sleeps with it, and I've become friends with Charles Fleischer. He has no idea that I know, love Roger Rabbit at all. So one day it's gonna come out, and I'll be like, "Can you just call me Jessica? Go, please." My soul would leave my body, and I'd be like, "He's talking to me, not you."
All the way in the back. Yep, just speak up.
Have you ever met Paul Heyman?
Oh, I have met. Yes, I have met Paul Heyman. Clearly, you're a Paul Heyman girl. I love him. He's so cool, and he's got a set of identical twins that he has as Paul Heyman girls. I was like, dude, you already got twins. You want another pair, man? I love Paul Heyman. I think Paul Heyman is the only reason Brock Lesnar still drags his sorry ass out because Paul can talk. Yeah. Oh, no one pulls a face like Paul, though. His face. Sell a non-moving match. I love CM Punk, but when Punk and Taker were feuding and he dressed up like Paul Bearer, whoa! One of the Druids, that was so good. I'm talking about when Heyman dressed like Paul Bearer and he was making fun of him. Remember when the urn of his ashes got tipped over too? Like I remember I told you, there's a level of respect for Paul Bearer and The Undertaker. I feel really uncomfortable right now. You're going to hear about it at the hotel. I'm going to hear it after this. You're going to hear about it. Thank you for starting Bad Blood between us. This is now our Hell in a Cell. Also, nobody asked this question, but I would really like them to make a female diva tag, or diva, finally we can call them superstars again. A female wrestler tag team belt. I want to give it to the Bellas, and I want to fight the Bellas at WrestleMania. But I want to have Big Show and Kane in my corner, because they're going to rip me in half. I've seen those girls, they are merciless.
Wow. Yep, right here, all the way in the back. Yep. Yep.
So I really, really love American Mary.
Oh, thank you.
I was wondering what the casting process was to find the perfect Mary.
I wrote it for Katie. Here's the craziest thing. I met Catherine when I was on Josie and the Pussycats, and I was already a huge fan of Ginger Snaps. She doesn't remember this. I went over to her and I was like, "Hi, Miss Isabel, I really like you, Ginger Snaps." She's like, "Oh, that's so nice, thank you." And then after I was like, "She's so nice to me. One day I'm gonna make a movie." And right? That's always like I need to be nice to somebody. You're such a stalker. It's so disturbing that she offhandedly said something to you and you're like, "I'm gonna change that woman's career." There are people that I was gonna cast that offhandedly said something mean to me and I was like, "No, take him off the list." Yeah, I think he is too old to play that role, you're right. I was like crazy involved in casting that. I couldn't, when we first did the auditions, the casting didn't bring anybody that I liked, so I went into the casting workbook. I picked the guy, Antonio Pupo, who would play Billy. I picked John Emmett Tracy, who would play Detective Doller. We found Tristan Risk after going through 80 different people. She came in, she was our dance coordinator and choreographer, and she is that character. I feel like we summoned her when we had our coven in our teen years. And
too much information?
Not too much.
Staying on the coven.
And then she came in and I was like, oh my god, it's too bad you can't act. And she's like, I can act. And I was like, it's too bad you can't do voices. And she's like, I do voices. She came in the next day and did a striptease, handcuffed and blindfolded. She did a Houdini striptease while singing Baby Did a Bad, Bad Thing in the Beatrice voice. And this is like at 10 in the morning and we're just like, wow. That's her.
She's got such a beautiful voice. I really want to do a production of Little Shop of Horrors when she gets to play Audrey. Because I like to bring her over. The only time I got complaints, you know, we scream a lot in our place.
Yeah, no one answers that.
But the only time we got complaints is when we watched Little Shop of Horrors and then Tristan just like serenades us the entire time.
Yeah,
someone said you were singing too loud. I'm sorry for having joy.
Yeah, I don't want to get Kai or Erickson from Casino Able 2 to be Seymour because they do the duet already. The suddenly Seymour, I was like, oh, how cute would that be to do?
Who's next? I never. It's like they're
too much.
And then it stops. So there's always like a little pause. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you know what?
That's a good question.
I'd have to say my favorite one is a Serbian film.
And you know what? I think it's such a well-made film, and it has such a beautiful commentary, and it means that the newer generation is inheriting the problems of the older generation, so they're in theory raping them, and they did it literally. But I thought it was such a great film with Milos. Like, I was going to watch it by myself when I turned it on first, and like the first 5 minutes I stopped, I was like, so we gotta watch this. We're like moths to the flame. We're like, what is this? And by the time we got to the newborn part, we were like, oh, right.
I'm the only person watching with, I don't know if the prosthetic lines up, the baby's not making the right sound.
Oh, God, Jen.
I'm a prosthetic snob. I watch very carefully. What do you like? Is that your favorite?
My favorite is Martyrs, because so many times it goes over the top for gore, but that one has such a purpose to it. And to me, it's a chick flick, because I wasn't like, it's a chick flick, it sucks. No, that is a chick flick. Those chicks are hardcore.
She made my mom watch it.
I had my mom watch it, and now my mom is like so cool. People are like saying this is going to scare her. She's like, I've seen Martyrs.
It's almost like two movies.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is. And a Serbian film, I will say that it is, cinematography-wise, it is such it's a beautiful movie to see. Let's take out the content from it, but it's amazing to watch.
It's beautiful.
And there's a lot of movies like, I think that's what makes horror such a great, canvas, is that you can paint it any way that you want, and people can, express it any way you want, and we can see it any way that we want. So, when you come here and you're thinking like, well, what is she going to say her favorite movie is? Like Friday the 13th, and she says a Serbian film, and it was like, holy shit, that's crazy. But I mean, you're looking past it as, I guess, as a creator and as an artist, and as someone that appreciates it. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to sometimes see that, which is awesome. It's a whole other level. It's good stuff.
I love Human Centipede too. It's so funny. Did you? If any of you guys follow Tom Six, he's such a treasure. If you don't want to hear something disgusting, I'm about to say it. And people asked him, "Hey Tom, what was the hardest thing about making Human Centipede?" He's like, "My dick."
Last note.
All right, so we got a couple more minutes here. So, yep, right there. Yep.
Yes. You know what? It had too much poop eating for me. Like at a certain point, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure we're gonna eat. But I find the Marquis de Sade very fascinating. I really want to adapt Justine because it is one of my favorite stories, and I think it would be an amazing movie that no one could watch.
The Follies of Virtue. Yeah, me too. I was really into Sallow, and then I was like, how much time is the poop eating gonna take? I'm still eating poop. Like seriously, how much devotion can we give to the poop eating? But I know that it's up to the artist, and Marquis de Sade was really into the poop.
I've never heard Sallow and that's like described that way as like just a lot of poop.
If it's half that poop eating, we'd probably be better.
Trim down the poop eating.
I've done like 7 years of these Q&As, like with everybody. And we've never talked about Paul Heyman, We've never talked about poop eating or anything else, and Serbian film never comes up. Never.
Yes! Somewhere Daniel Bryan is gaining power.
And the yes chant has never broken out.
Only at Monster-Mania.
Alright, we're going to take one more, yeah.
Oh my god. I've seen Headless and I saw Found, the one before it. Found, I loved. Headless, it was just so gory. It felt like it was one tone. I really love. Found was just so disturbing. I had a crush on the series. I loved Found so much. I like Headless too, but after a while I was like, ugh. And I know Ellie too, and I was like, oh god, you never make it through anything, do you, girl? There's so much eye rupturing. Just so much, and so much skull fucking in the way that is non-traditional. Skull fucking, but it was. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No shit. The shower in Purell, right? Just burn the eyes out. It's like Event Horizon. I don't need eyes where I'm going. I try to hide that one because I leave my movies out for my mom to watch, and I'm always afraid she's gonna be like, oh, Headless, what is this?
So we'll close with this, and I feel that you ladies have your pulse on the people. I feel like you guys are true fans. I feel like you guys do what you want. And I think that that's not done much anymore. Not done much in Hollywood. So when you look out amongst the people here, give me your best advice to anyone. In closing.
I would say treat people with kindness and respect, and the whole world will open up to you. It's free to be kind, and there's not enough of it. And no matter what you do, if you fly that, you'd be blown away. Like, I don't have smarts, but I'm nice, and look how far I went. Follow your stupid fucking dreams. Follow your stupid fucking dreams, because you can fail doing, a normal job or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Do what you want. You only have one life. This isn't the dress rehearsal. Whatever it is, whether it's filmmaking or working with tigers, which I think is super cool, and you won't let me tigers then. Sorry, no tigers. You hate me. I hate you. I'm gonna marry some Scarface motherfucker that's gonna get me a tiger just to watch. How do you tell the difference between Jen and Sylvia? When Jen's been mauled by a tiger? Oh, my tiger wouldn't maul me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jen and Sylvia Soska.
When the laws of science are broken, the last hope for humanity rests in the hands of a few. And Cherry Darling, she tastes like trouble, with an attitude to boot. In Robert Rodriguez, Planet Terror.
How's things going?
Things are going wonderfully well.
Excellent. So, if anyone has a question, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. Does anybody have a question to start?
I'll just start singing. It's really I'll just keep singing until someone asks me a question. Oh, there's a question.
So, did you face any challenges coming into Charmed on season 4 after they had killed off Shannon Doherty?
I definitely faced challenges coming into save the show, essentially, because it had already gone 3 seasons, and I joined in the 4th season on Charmed, and I had about 150 crew members, and a studio, and people putting their kids through school, and all this weight on my shoulders, and I kind of knew instinctively, unless I came in and made the audience kind of fall in love with me right away, the show was going to sink, because most shows don't survive big cast changes. So I kind of on purpose, I gained 7-8 pounds and made my face really round, and chose to play a really lovable character, and it obviously worked because we became one of the longest running female shows in TV history.
I read that you weren't really set up to be an actor, that you fell into it. Can you maybe give us that story?
Sure, I was standing on a street in LA crying, actually. Which is exactly when someone there comes up and says, hey, are you an actor? And I looked at them scowling, of course, and I was like, no, God. But I was standing with a friend who knew this woman, and there's a director named Greg Araki, who's a big, kind of indie director, and he'd been scouring LA and New York. He was on his way to London and Paris that night, looking for a very specific person to play the part. And so they kept calling my friend, and finally I was like, fine, I'll go meet these people. And then 2 weeks later I started in the movie, and then here I am. It all just happened very strangely. So when people ask me how to get an agent, I'm like, I don't know. Really can't help you.
So once you got in, did you then try to do a rush, acting lessons or anything else? Were people kind enough to help guide you?
No, I just started the movie and killed it, got nominated for Independent Spirit Award, and it's like the Independent Oscars. No, I just came and conquered. That's what I do.
That was Jawbreaker?
No, that was Doom Generation.
Okay.
I refused to fail.
That's great. Awesome.
And then I took one acting class afterwards, and I was like, I hate this. So I never went back.
Anybody else have a question? Yes, right here.
They didn't rig the door. I mean, they kind of had to nail my shirt to the door because I kind of kept falling through it, the garage door, and the screen was asking how they did that. And it was a real garage door, and I was going up and down, up and down, up. I think I did it about 10 times, and I had bruises from, my shoulders to my waist. But I knew it would look better that way, so I usually did most of my own stunts. And in that case, it's a pretty legendary one, so that worked out.
We just had the Soskas here, and they are female filmmakers. And I know you're very, very much a cheerleader for that in order to get more equality. And first of all, they love you. They wanted me to pass that along.
I want to meet them.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Are they still here?
Yeah, they're going to try to meet you later on. So hopefully you're not gone. But can you maybe elaborate as to how have things changed over the years since you've been involved with females getting it easier to make films, or is it still a struggle?
Well, I'll put it this way. Being a struggle, a woman, period, honestly, in this world is a real struggle. And then there's a lot of people that struggle with, other things too. But being a female, if you're white and in the 1%, you get paid 73 cents to a man's dollar. You pay the same in taxes. If you're a black lesbian, you're at 46 cents. So there's some serious inequality, and that spreads down to Hollywood very much because there's no government oversight, and obviously right now we're not going to have any. It's 96% men in the Director's Guild. So that means that 96% of what you've seen, and that is the same statistic since 1946. So you have 96% of one viewpoint going out for a world that's not bad. And so there's some serious problems there. There's some serious problems in the world right now. The reason I'm so vocal about that, someone said, is what you're doing for female directors, and I was like, sure, but I'm doing it for all women, really, because I kind of noticed there was nobody really speaking up. There are people speaking up on behalf of them, but not in let's just say I have an intense brand, and I come at things fairly intensely, and I just don't, women have played really, really nice for years in Hollywood, and it hasn't gotten them very far.
Right.
So I'm like, you didn't play nice with me, I'm not going to play nice with you. Plus, I know how to kill. Just that little thing. I was trained.
So do you see more opportunities coming along? Do you see any headway starting?
The thing is right now it's really popular to say we're aware there's a problem. I was on this panel next to Steven Spielberg's producer at this thing, and she was like, we're aware there's a problem. And that's what's so great about Hollywood now, our awareness. And I said, I took the mic and I said, with all due respect, fuck your awareness.
nobody can take that to the bank. You can't feed your kids on that. You can't create art with that. So no, your awareness, thanks for being less stupid than you were the day before, but it's not going to work that way. So the only way really is, I think Hollywood is kind of built on this myth system anyway. Hollywood, it used to be Hollywood Land in 1927, and the land part fell down. That was a real estate company. So I think if the whole thing is kind of born of an illusion, I'm like, ladies, let's just start a new Hollywood. Let's just do that together and not try to get a seat at the table, but create, our own table as much as we can. Because it's not obviously working the other way. And I have literally heard men there say, but if a woman gets hired, then it's taking a job away from a man. But how many times have we heard that with if you put in another race? Or somebody who's like an immigrant or something like that. It's like there's a problem when things are addressed that way or looked at that way. And so yeah, I'm pretty vocal, but for me, it's just like this is like the truth. I don't know why we're all living this like collective lie. I don't get it. Just say what it is. It's not going to kill you. Just say what it is and strive for better. Just do better.
I think myself as a film fan, I'm a filmmaker also, but I think that I would it doesn't matter to me who is behind the lens as long as they're going to make a good movie. You know what I mean? And there's so many competent people out there that aren't getting chances.
Of course.
I totally
what we're
agree.
missing on is huge. We're missing like 50% of the equation here. We're missing like new stories. If you wonder why everything's a reboot and why everything's not great and everything's watered down, maybe they in fact, have run out of stories to tell these people, these men, and I'm not anti-men, I'm anti-Hollywood. There's two different things.
Yes.
Is that the whole purpose of doing the Black Dahlia movie?
The Black Dahlia was really because Brian De Palma, who's, Brian De Palma, called me and said, would you like to do this part? And I was like, you're Brian De Palma, who did, obviously Scarface and Dressed to Kill and all these what's the other really great one with John Travolta and the speaker?
Blowout.
I know, I was confused with Blowout. He's just a master filmmaker, and I got to work on that with, who's that? I'm blanking out, like Dante Ferretti was the incredible production designer, who also did Scarface. That's what makes everything look the way it does. And it was just really to be around top talent. But that movie certainly is the truth also. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about any future projects you have directing?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I already directed one. It's called Dawn, D-A-W-N, and that's on Criterion. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but Criterion Films is like the foremost film community or platform in the world for the most prestigious films, and my movie just got accepted into that, which is amazing. There's an app you can get called Filmstruck, and so on your Apple TV or your Xbox or whatever, you just put Filmstruck and you can watch it on there. And I just directed one that's about this young woman who hand-buried, it's a true story, hand-buried over 400 young men that died of AIDS in the early 80s. And so that'll be coming out soon. But I have right now what I've been really working on for the last 2 years is kind of this DIY empire. And I've been doing everything myself, but I have a book coming out at the end of February. It's called Brave. It's HarperCollins, and I have a skincare line I've been working on for 8 years. It's coming out around the same time, and an album is coming out around the same time. So it's kind of I'll get back to movies when one at a time, really, but Hollywood isn't. I've always lived a much bigger life than. I think kind of people assume that if they see a picture of you, that that's what you do and only what you do, right? For me, it was always just kind of like, suits me fine if people think this is what I do, because then I can do all my stuff in the background and come out when it's time. So this coming year is going to be, it's on, let's go.
I'll ask a question. So now that you've done both, do you prefer acting or directing?
Oh, directing by far. Come on, let's go. That's fine.
It's just, I worked on sets, I calculated, since I was 14. Malcolm McDowell was here. And my first actual movie, a little known fact, was a movie called Class of 1999.
Woo.
And he was in it, I believe he was a cyborg teacher or something. And that was the future in 1999, right? When I was little. And I skipped school to be an extra in this movie so I could earn enough money to go dancing at this nightclub on the weekends. I was 14. And so I would kind of follow Malcolm McDowell around the set, and but since then, that's not the question, it's just a rambling thing. I calculated I worked on sets for 57,000 hours.
Wow.
So, the kind of thing when people, a lot of the press, when my movie was nominated at Sundance, a lot of the press, the first question was, what did you learn from the men you worked with? And I just said what not to do. I worked with some greats, but I learned from their mistakes, and I learned from where other crew members or other people I watched, and I worked with other departments on the set. I worked with the grips, I worked with the art department, I worked with everybody just because this is my job. I want to get a full handle on this. And what it turned out was just that I love the totality of filmmaking more than just being. I played some amazing parts, and that was great. I just reached a point in my life, and I just didn't want to be in service to other people's imaginations, just mine, and that's cool. That's totally valid too.
Yeah, great. Yes.
I love the art that's put on Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's the motivation behind that?
So for you guys that don't know, I'm also a photographer and a video artist, and the motivation, you can follow it on Rose McGowen Arts. That's my photography page that I just started. The inspiration is just really how I see things. I see things, I don't know if I see them differently or people say so, but it doesn't seem different to me. I think I just kind of see art and beauty everywhere, even in really ugly things like wires or, street lights, or it's kind of everywhere. And I love playing with color and light more than anything. I find it really satisfying. So.
Yes.
If you were on death row right now and you were about to get your last meal right now, what would you eat?
Shit. Let me think. Okay. I'm gonna work backwards from dessert. I'm gonna say Ben & Jerry's cookie dough ice cream. Then I'm gonna say spinach with lemon. Then I'm going to say pasta from Italy for sure, with a nice tomato sauce, and a bucket of tears, because I'd probably be really sad at this point. I also like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It's not extravagant though, but I'm in that world.
Are you fluff? Peanut butter and fluff? Or?
No, I don't think fluff's really a West Coast thing. Is that an East Coast thing?
I guess. What about Nutella?
Yes.
Nutella?
I did do Nutella until they cut all the palm. They kill orangutans hardcore.
Oh, I did hear about that.
And I like orangutans. I don't know about you, but by deforesting everything for them, they're burning them alive. Actually, getting palm oil from that place. Sorry to be Debbie Downer, but we need to save the orangutans. I know we have a lot of list of things that need saving right now. We're just added to that.
Yeah. Anybody else? What was, since no one else is, I think they're all shy.
It's okay. I scare because I care.
What was so you get cast for Scream, and did you think that it would have the magnitude that it did? I know people often say no.
Well, see, it was only, I think, my second movie, really, my official second movie, and I never even thought about that part of it. It just didn't occur to me. And there was a psychic, actually, at the premiere party of Wes, and she told us that the movie was going to be a big failure, so she depressed me that night. And then every time it hit, now it's over $1 billion. I'm like, suck it, psychic!
Fond memories of working on that movie?
I love that set. That set was, if every set could have been like that, maybe I'd still be acting. Wes Craven was truly a really magical human, and he made us all feel really, really warm and welcome, and treated us like equals, not like you were just pawns on a chessboard kind of thing. You know, he had a real knack for that, and I think his love of his actors showed on film, and how much we enjoyed ourselves, and how much we there was a lot of love on that screen. And David Arquette and I would also chase, one night, it was prom night, and we were really bored, we weren't working, so we started chasing prom limos around and crashing prom parties. We called like the 18-year-olds, like, hey, or the creepy 20-year-olds, what's that?
Anybody else? Yes. Yep.
You love the short hair, and it's really not a lot of people carry that well. But what caused the transition?
The world. I don't know, why'd you cut your hair short? I did actually always have short hair growing up, and then during the Hollywood period, I was told I had to have it long. And then I was like, wait a second, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And I just, it's a lot of work being a woman, and hair takes a really long time, and frankly, I just did not have the patience anymore. And there was something, I get a lot of, and mostly like this honestly kind of sets this question has come from women. And they're like, oh, did you break up with someone? I'm like, you're right, I only do stuff related to that. And then I thought about it, and I kind of got annoyed with that question because it happened a lot. And then I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I kind of broke up with the world. That's cool. But just of expectations, you know what I mean? It's just like, be free, do what you want. Like, if you want long hair, cool. If you want short hair, cool. I don't feel the need to fit in with anything. Woo!
Yes.
You seem to have a very Betty Davis attitude. Are there any characters women from history or cinema that you pull from?
Barbara Stanwyck, for sure. She's incredible. She could do anything. She was just an incredible performer. Same with Betty Davis. And there's so many. I studied classic film, so I just love. There's a movie called Leave Her to Heaven. I don't know if any of you have seen Jawbreaker, but I based my character on her. And that was, she did something, she was playing a sociopath in that movie. It's like from 1933, I think, or 39. And she pushes this little boy in a wheelchair off a cliff. And she says to the husband, whose son it was, because she just married him, she's like, honey, why did you kill Timmy? She's like, darling, I thought we needed more time together. And that always made me laugh, and I was like, ooh, that's harsh, that's cold, that's corny. All right.
Yes.
Well, they're not. They actually contractually won't let me, but I can shake your hand and give you a hug. And it was learning 10 pages a day on Charmed. It was heavy. It was like 10 pages. Thank you for your question. It was 10 pages a day on average of like really dense dialogue, and that was. I got good at doing 10 pages in a half an hour, which was not normal, and I spent more time with those lines in my head than other things, but I could never remember the spells. So anytime I had to say a spell, somebody was always standing behind Alyssa or Holly with a giant, paper that had like a poster board with all of the spell dialogue on it. And my brain was like, wouldn't retain it.
Do you have fond memories of that show?
Yeah, we worked our asses off, we did. And my fondest memories of that show, I think, are just other people's fond memories, because it seems like a whole lot of people really loved it.
and worldwide, which is incredible. I mean, it's strange to be part of pop culture. It's really interesting. When I was little, I used to take a nap. My great-grandmother had this gigantic satellite dish that kind of powered the neighborhood, and I would take naps in it. I was wondering what that did to me. And then later I became something that was beamed up through satellites, like a pixel, and then beamed back down. So it was just always like, it's fascinating. The whole thing is so strange. It's a surreal experience in a lot of ways.
It has to be surreal because you're on TV every day.
Yeah.
Like now, like
In
still today. It literally was on,
worldwide.
what's the day, Saturday? It was on yesterday.
Yeah.
Like I literally watched it yesterday. So, because I tried to, and I tried to explain this earlier that I've done Q&As for a long time, and you never know what path the Q&A will take. You never know, So I was amazed to read it and all the stuff that you've done, because you've done such a list, and I often think like because I was going to look out to see if it would be more of a charmed crowd, which would be you would think maybe. What your demographic was, but right. So
it's really all over. I mean, that charm was unlike. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I did. I watched the whole series. But then I was also thinking like you've been in Scream and Planet Terror and everything else, and Jawbreaker, which you were a great villain in. And I was thinking like this is really a good. I think what you've done is really a good premise for the crowd, because people can ask you about everything regarding horror, because you've kind of done, not that Trump was horror, but it was,
supernatural.
Right. And then you've done, you were in Scream, or Planet Terror, which I just love. What was it like in Planet Terror with the ability, because you were kind of, I wouldn't say a victim, but kind of a victim, and then you kind of became like this badass. I always feel like you were a badass.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, you were kind of a badass like the whole movie, but you lost.
You felt sorry for her.
Right.
I wanted people to feel, the real thing that I worked on in all of my movies was whether I had to die at, someone else's hand, or I just didn't want to be just another girl in the movie that was a statistic. Like, oh, there's another girl in a little mini dress and she's getting killed. That just was not interesting to me. What I wanted to do was to leave the audience always with an emotion for the character I played. Whether you liked me or hated me, you remembered it, and it made an impact. So it was kind of like another woman on film didn't die in vain sort of thing. And I didn't want to be a body count, and I wanted to, Cherry Darling saves the world, so hey.
Right now, not many women have, a machine that can touch their legs. So.
Or men.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So,
I was lucky.
It was real fun. I think that film was another film, and I think that Scream is another good example where it was the perfect time for those movies to come out, Well,
I don't even, it wasn't. They released it on Easter weekend, which is a really stupid release date. I remember thinking like, Jesus, literally. I don't think a lot of people that are going to church that weekend were also going to go see movies. And they also had, I think, that weekend, like a Hilary Swank religious horror movie, I remember now. So it's kind of weird timing, but as far as making it, yes. Releasing it, not the smartest date or time, but, if you look at them, they're like badass, independent, like at the height of independent cinema, really, which I love.
Was there anything that was maybe shot or on script that never made it to the movie?
In Quentin's there was, in Death Proof, because I was in both. In Death Proof there was some scenes with Pam and Kurt that I thought really did a lot for his character development and our character development that got cut out, but Quentin had decided to shoot it himself, and he shot it from behind our heads, and I had this long, long wait. So really, I think he found out I just looked like Cousin It from behind. Well, it just didn't work.
Anybody else have a question? Yes.
Okay. Hi, Rick. I just wanted to ask you about your time working with Matthew McGory during the music video for Film of White, or if you have any stories from the music video.
He was the really tall guy, right?
Yeah.
He was amazing. He was so gentle. So I worked with this real gentle giant. He was like the one that was bent over.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's somebody else I know named Matt McGory, so and he's a comedian, so I got confused. He's great. That video was fantastic, actually. And he was so, I had like several interactions with him more than just in the video. I still would see him out or things like that. He was always like most people that, you know, are big and scare people, kind of, he was the sweetest.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi. Jawbreaker is one of my favorite movies. It was such a fun movie. Do you have any fun behind the scenes stories and a favorite line maybe from it?
Yeah, my favorite line is, "You're the shadow, we're the sun." No, I mean, that's me saying to the nerd girl, like, "You're the shadow, we're the sun." It's so rude, but really good. That set, there was only one day, I think we were on the bleachers or something filming a scene, and I completely spaced out on my lines. And I think I started to cry for like a minute. Just, I was so tired because it was a really packed schedule, and I was like kind of in almost every scene. But it was, I had a lot of fun on that movie, actually, and the clothes were incredible.
All the way in the back, yeah.
Can you share some experiences from making Monkey Bone?
Yeah, that was really good. It was so different, and you know, they fired Henry Selick, the director, halfway through filming. And he's somebody who did Coraline and James and the Giant Peach. He's obviously a really incredible director. They just, you know, the studio was just these frat tool executives. I don't know, what do you want to call them? I'm so nice, aren't I? Charming. But they didn't understand what he was doing. What he was doing was art. And so they cut the movie to spend more time above ground instead of below ground, and below ground was where it was at. That was sets, it was incredible. The costumes, just everything was so, so beautiful. And I love my character, Miss Kitty. I just remember really loving it, and it was a stressful set just because the studio was always like weird and unhappy and just not trusting what he was doing. And they, you know, studios tend to do that and tend to ruin a lot of art that way, but still the movie like has a lot of heart and again, amazing costumes, prosthetics, everything.
It's just so over the top. That's what it is to me. You know, I really love it. So.
I'm not against over the top at all.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, filming, the way it goes is like in movies and TV, like half-an-hour shows are the easiest job. And hour-longs, if you're a big cast, it's a little bit easier because you're doing half a movie in 8 days, and most movies take a month to 2 months or 6 months depending. And so Charm was like doing half a movie in 8 days, but back to back to back to back to back. So most shows nowadays do 8 episodes, and we would do 23. And it was just really like the cameraman would fall asleep on the lens. I mean, you know, like just everybody was just kind of exhausted. But it's that was a marathon. It was intense, yeah. Like 10 and a half. And then the other month and a half, we just kind of spent asleep.
In the back, yes.
Do you find that Hollywood, by having predominantly male directors and screenwriters, they disregard the female audience because they're telling women like what they want, even though like you could be the best screenwriter in the world with your advantage, you won't really have an idea of what like a woman.
You're completely correct. I find it offensive all the time. You know, that would be like I specifically find it really. There's a lot of, as there should be, an uproar about whitewashing, you know, during casting, or gender washing, say if it's a straight man playing a trans character, so you're hiring a trans person, but nobody complains when it's men directing all sorts of things about women, and I know these guys, these are not curious guys. These are not guys that are really thinking about a woman's experience or life. And so last year, only 23% of speaking roles on screen were women. The majority in horror films. So, you know, the representation is
it depends on the horror film. Some are amazing, the representation, some aren't, but it's still messed up because proven statistically over and over again is that box office is driven by women and young women who bring their friends, bring their boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, and it doesn't matter. It's an underserved community, but we're not a community, we're 52% of the population. So the thing that's troublesome, in my book I go into this, my upcoming book is, imagine you're giving this distorted mirror for yourself to look at ever since you're little. And I feel bad for men too. Someone put on Facebook the other day a video of their 2-year-old punching along with Sylvester Stallone, and they're like, oh, isn't that cute? And I'm like, on one hand, it is super cute. The other hand is teaching him that's what it means to be a man. And I think being a man means a lot of different things, and I think the stereotypes and the propaganda that comes out of Hollywood really narrows people's ideas of what they can be for themselves. And it's because it's like a lot of frat guys that, went to school on daddy's dime, and it's them making movies and them giving us a mirror for what they think we are. And Hollywood it's a pretty horrible place, but it doesn't stay there. It goes like short of a nuclear bomb, it's got the farthest reach. So it needs, and I do believe people have a responsibility for what they put in your minds, what they put in my mind. And they have a responsibility to think about it. And I do get really offended, when I see like HBO is always doing, rape scenes and shit like that. I'm like, how the hell would you know? How dare you? But, again, there's uproar about whitewashing, as there should be, but there's no uproar about that. And if there is, it's swept under the rug. Because generally women just aren't listened to, and that's a real mistake. I mean, you look at the state of the world and say you're doing a real good job. Let's try something else. Might as well.
So I'm glad you brought up your book, because I know it comes out Tuesday, correct?
No, it comes out February 28th.
Okay, so I'm right off. All right.
I don't know what's going on Tuesday.
I would have went Tuesday, and I would have been like, you guys have it? I would have went to a lot of stores. Can you talk a little bit about what your book is about, and maybe give the title and let people know why they should read it?
Well, they should read it because it's awesome. It's called Brave, and B-R-A-V-E, and I wrote it myself, and it's probably the hardest undertaking of my life. I mean, it really, going through your own life is very strange. It's surreal, and you get mad all over again at things, or you're hurt all over again by things, and it's not a tell-all. That's not it at all. I talk a lot about, I use stories in my life to illustrate and show why I'm saying what I'm saying, essentially, So it's not like some sleazy Hollywood situation. It's really like I have a bigger perspective and a bigger mission than just Hollywood. I really want people just to know what they're consuming. Like, look at it, and not saying you don't have to consume it, just understand what the messaging is, and look at how they're presenting women, look at how they're presenting other races, and because this stuff counts. It gets into our brains, just like if you don't listen to that Britney Spears song on purpose, but you still know all the lyrics. The stuff sits in your brain, and I think, we owe it to people to be better.
Anybody else have any questions? We're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes.
Yes, one, two.
What was it like to do this generation, and do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regrets? Oh, sister. Regrets, I've had a few. Doom Generation was cool. It was hard. I didn't know what I was doing. They would say stand on the X, you mark. And I was like, what? And they would say watch your camera framing, which is how much room you have to move within the box, right? And I had no idea. So it was like boot camp for acting. I don't know. I kind of think what I wound up doing was always kind of a foregone conclusion in my life. I have regrets for not standing up for myself earlier, I guess. But there was also no example of that and no history of that. Like, people don't really, especially not in Hollywood, they're not doing what I'm doing. They don't do it. Women or men. And it's very much of like, don't break the rules, little girl, you'll get punished. And because, like I say, I work in a lot of different disciplines that don't have anything to do with Hollywood, I'm just like, suck it. Like, you don't apply to me. You're mafia. I didn't ask me to join. Sorry. So as far as filmmaking goes, I love it. As far as Hollywood goes, no. Two separate things. So.
I was wondering, what films are you watching right now?
You know, it's a really good question, and I can say not really any, because I'm writing my own film. But I do watch classics all the time, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I just watched again, and I try to see as many on the big screen as possible, because seeing a classic on the big screen with surround sound is just like heaven to me. I watch a lot of reenactment television, which is really weird. I don't know why. I haven't figured that part out yet. I'm strangely drawn to it. I find it like kind of hilarious usually, and like comedic, mostly because you can tell it's like a first-time director who's like, and all the actors are really over. The whole thing is just like a really bizarre, like meta experience of like acting is reenacting in the first place, and then reenacting acting. It's really, I don't know. What movies have I seen lately on the screen? I think I want to see Okja. Has anybody here seen that? Is it good? I hear it's really good. What else is out? You cry? Good. I might cry a lot, but anything with like animals or faux animals in peril, I'm like.
Anybody else have any other questions? Yes, we'll do one more here. Yeah.
That's a really good question. You know, I love Kristen Scott Thomas and Ray Fiennes, and I really want to work with, I think Common is an incredible actor. I want him, there's a show that I'm developing that he would be insane. There's so many, you know, I think, like Giancarlo Esposito, I love, but in something, I tend to see like, and certainly a lot of women, but like for me, it's like as long as somebody is like kind of cool looking and not traditional Hollywood pretty, that's what I like. I like kind of out there stuff.
Yep, right there.
The one that just came out? Oh, the old one. Is that the one with the Pat Benatar music in it?
Yes.
I just remember the Pat Benatar music. But now I need to see it again. Why?
Well, because it's just the way you are talking and things about it's kind of like that movie all about.
Oh, really?
They watch you cut her hair and...
Oh, now I'm going to have to watch it for sure.
Isn't it Right is Right? Isn't that what the thing is on that one, on that movie? Right is Right.
That's the tagline?
No, it's she is trying to make it right. So she says right is right the whole time, and she literally protests and gets the whole town involved. It's good. You should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it.
Definitely going to check that out.
I think it's Helen Slater, correct?
It is Helen Slater, yeah.
Christian Slater. We're gonna end it here, but I just want to say, make sure you check out her book. You're very, very passionate. And I think that's
yeah. Why not?
And I think that it's great that you're breaking the mold. I don't think it's done enough, and I think that people need to respect it when it happens. Because I don't think enough people are really brave enough because they're in this security blanket and they're afraid to do
They're
something.
really scared. Hollywood breeds fear. It teaches you how to be small, and it teaches you how to be afraid. And I woke up one day and I realized I just wasn't afraid. And I know that if I think the way I do, then other people must think the way I do. And they might not have as loud of a voice. So if I work this hard to get a voice, why wouldn't I use it? Kind of. And I know not everybody agrees with what I said, and that's okay too, even though I'm right, so suck it. No, just kidding. I'm really glad you guys are here, and thank you so much for enjoying.
Doctor Strange. Actually, I'm Wilford Brimley, and I'd like to rant for a few minutes. Obey these simple rules and do these simple things. I promise you, you're going to be getting ladies every 15 or 20 minutes. Now, I'm going to give you my best, so pay attention to Wilford the Love Doctor. If you want to get ladies, you're going to feel my language. So loosen up, take my medicine, and you're going to learn to do like Brimley. I have a dig like a horse and an unquenchable thirst, but I take doctor's medicine so I don't come first. I do my commercials. I want to get paid. My ads get me rich. My dick gets me laid. Nice Brimley. Nice Brimley. I've done things I shouldn't do. Nice Brimley. Nice Brimley. I've eaten apple ice cream. Now I'm perfect in language and love. I'm the partner that you ought to be afraid of. I'm doing it with ladies every 20 minutes, and I like to eat ladies' pie. If you gentlemen don't like my path, I guess you're gonna f***ing die. Ladies like my company. I loved all through the night. I've got the most energy. See if I'm not right. So laugh all your cares away and have some Brimley fun, cause I've got 15 or 20 problems, but it is not one. Nice Brimley. Nice Brimley. Doing alliance with Dick Richards. Nice Brimley. Nice Brimley. Don't f*** with Wilford Brimley. If you want to talk to me, I really don't got time. So pay attention to my song. Learn every doctor line. And to the fortunate ladies that I loved along the trail, you better get tested. And thanks for the tale. The day I got engaged was the worst day in the world, because I don't want to live my life doing it with just one girl. In closing, I would like to say that I'm simply better than you. You're not even good enough to eat my Brimley too. Nice Brimley. Nice Brimley. I'm laughing at my family. Nice Brimley. Ice cream, apple butter, ice cream. Thanks for your time.